All right. Hello and welcome everyone to today's web event. My name is Tyler Bishop. Some of you may know me, some of you may not. Just to get started today, to kick everything off, I want to kind of point out something and tell you guys a story. I just bought a new car and my wife was with me, and one of the biggest problems is that for the last 4 years that we've had this vehicle, she has basically never known how to use things like the Bluetooth or the navigation or anything that's kind of technical inside of the vehicle. And so she really just knew how to do kind of the main functions of the car, which is basically to drive it. And so when we got the new vehicle, it's obviously got some technical innovations that the old one did not. And so I wanted her to actually spend some time with the guy that sold us the car so that she had a better idea of actually how to kind of get the most out of it. And so he spent some time with her, and now she can use all the different elements of the vehicle. And now I like to think that she's kind of like better at understanding how all the different elements work. So she feels like she's in the driver's seat now. She feels like she's got a better understanding of how it works, and she feels better about it in general. So this essentially is what we want to do today, is we want to make you this guy or gal here driving this car, essentially put you in the driver's seat with Ezoic specifically. And my hope is that today, whenever we're done, this is a very much an Ezoic system-oriented web event. We'll kind of get into that a little bit more, but my hope is that you'll come away today with better knowledge and more tools than you started with. And that's going to start really with applicable knowledge of how Ezoic as a system and as a tool actually works. So if you understand exactly what it does for your site, we're hoping that'll help you make better decisions about how you use Ezoic and configure it on your websites. Additionally, I've got some members of our publishing team here with me today, and Piper specifically is going to spend some time working with you on how to configure Ezoic to best meet the goals of your specific website. So every site's different, they have different goals, and we're going to do some things today to share with you how to get better data out of your Ezoic system. And then last, what I think everyone is going to be able to benefit from today is we have Nick, a member of our publisher team, who's going to share with you some really interesting information about how to basically improve the placeholders on your site so that you can increase performance as well. And this is something that I think pretty much everybody can benefit for, so please stick around to the end. Lastly, who am I? I introduced myself at the beginning, kind of second introduction here. My name is Tyler Bishop. I'm the head of marketing for Ezoic. I'm an award-winning marketer. I've served as an SEO expert and a marketing expert for some startup boards. And I've actually helped dozens of different sites increase their organic traffic over time in a white hat kind of quality manner. I'm also a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. Hopefully that's not really going to come into play here today unless something goes terribly wrong. So if you're hoping, hey, I'm hoping this guy shares some tips with us about marketing and SEO and things like that for our site. I've already done that before, and we'll continue to do that sort of thing. You can go back and review some of our past events. We did one on how to grow your site in 2017. My podcast partner, we have a podcast, and I did one on how to grow your site in 2017. We did that one here recently. We did one on site marketing tricks and SEO tips for generating more ad revenue, and then we also did one on smart and ethical and proven ways to increase site earnings. So all of those are available on our YouTube channel when this is done. If you're interested in those things, I would check those things out there. But I kind of want to jump right into it with you today. So I want to give you guys kind of an overview of what Ezoic is so that everyone understands fully how to leverage it with all of the existing things that you may be using to basically grow your site and from a technology standpoint. So my father's from rural Missouri, which is in the middle of the United States and far away from everything. And so the way that I explain what Ezoic is to him, I think it gives a really good way of giving everyone kind of an idea of what we do. So Ezoic is a artificial intelligence platform. And essentially what it does is it allows website owners and digital publishers to test all the really important elements of their site all at once on a per user basis. So when you think about it, the menu location, the layouts, where the ads go, all these things, the content, all these things, when you start kind of picking them apart on a page-by-page basis, there's like millions of variables that potentially could change on your site. And so what Ezoic is it's a system that allows you to test all of those different things by users that come to your site. So each user is a little bit different. what Ezoic does is kind of looks at each of those users, figures out what is the optimal combination of layouts, content, all these things, and how do we deliver to them the best possible user experience. And so we have different applications available on the platform. You guys are probably familiar with our app store that allows you to do those things in different ways. So some people want to do it with layouts, some just don't want to do it with the ads. Today we're really going to focus on just the ads, which is Ad Tester, the app in the Ezoic App Store, which I'm sure almost everyone attending today is using Ad Tester. So without any further ado, really what Ad Tester is allowing you to do is balance things like UX and revenue together to make sure that your site is delivering to each of your users the best possible ad combination as possible. So why not just focus on revenue 100%? Well, there are a few things that affect revenue more than user experience on its own. So things like bounce rate, time on site, page views per visit, these things dramatically affect your revenue. And so Ezoic is essentially helping you balance these things together. And it's doing it on a per user basis. So different people have different tolerances for things like ad density. People have different preferences as it relates to where ads go, ad colors, all these different things. So Ezoic is essentially collecting all this information on a per user basis, and over time it continues to deliver each user a better and better ad experience. So where the ads go, how many there are, where they're placed, their colors, what types of ads they are, all these different elements together. And so we're going to get into basically how to make sure that you're configured to be accomplishing that for your site in a few minutes. And the reason why it's important to understand that this is what Ezoic does is because it's important to understand that Ezoic is not an ad network. That's why we allow you to keep all of your existing ad networks, partnership, direct ads. We ask you to put all that stuff into Ezoic because actually what we're going to do is help you test all of those different things together to make sure that things are working out best for you on your end. We actually don't provide any of our own ads. We have partnerships with a lot of different ad networks that we allow you to leverage in case that's something that you would like to do. But we encourage everyone to bring your existing ad relationships into the system. We are ad provider agnostic. So Ezoic is really just a platform that allows you to test all of these things because we've proven over time that really testing all these different elements together is more impactful than the ad demand itself. And so what you'll find is that the more testing that you do, the average ePMV, and I'll get to that here in a second, improves over time. So essentially, the more testing you do, the system gets smarter and smarter, and on a per user basis, we get a better idea of what things that user prefers or the things that are going to provide the best experience to them. So one of the great things about using AI and integrating into your system is that things continue to improve over time. So we're going to make sure today that you are testing everything properly so that you can continue to see these types of trends. And I want to return to ePMV just real quick. It's the last thing kind of on my part before we get into the system and start showing you exactly how to configure Ezoic for your site. But I want to point out why it's so important for us to look at ePMV and why we use it as a metric at Ezoic. So session-based ad revenue is really important to look at if you're a publisher. So we don't look at individual ad CPMs or RPMs or page CPMs or RPMs because those are really stats for advertisers. And we realize that those are sometimes metrics that you have to keep in mind for all the different types of relationships and things like that that you have. But it's really not a publisher metric. And a simple example we always give is you may have an advertiser approach you with a guaranteed page eCPM of $10. But that may be an ad for autoplay video or something else that's very annoying and it bounces users away from the site. So you may be only getting 1.5 page views per visit because of that specific ad, because of that landing page, etc. And so when you extrapolate that over time, 15,000 page views on that $10 eCPM, you're only getting $150 income from that. Scenario 2, you have a much lower eCPM, but your page views per visit is actually much higher now. So the same 10,000 visits extrapolates out to 25,000 page views. Those 25,000 page views times an $8 eCPM, you actually earn significantly more. You're up to $200 in income in this case. So it's really simple math here. We're kind of probably oversimplifying, but it's really important to realize that looking at CPMs and RPMs is not a true north. That ePMV, looking at session revenue, so earnings per 1,000 visitors, looking at all the ads on your page, how they are affected by things like page views per visit, bounce rate, session duration. This is really the metric that's going to tell you am I overall from all the different demand sources, from all the different ads on my page, how much am I actually earning overall? And so that's really exactly what we want to try to accomplish with this today. And that's essentially what we're going to try to do. And so Ezoic is actually our goal in all of this is helping you look at everything. And so my hope is that between myself and our publishing team members today, we can actually show you how Ezoic can help you do all these different things. So without any further ado, I want to introduce you to your 2 pub team guides for the day. Starting off first, we're going to have Piper, who is our U.S. team lead for the Ezoic Publishing Team. She's an experienced consultant on our team that's worked with over 3,000 different publishers. She's one of Ezoic's top ad testing and optimization experts. She's a kombucha enthusiast, and so she's going to share with you basically a lot of the information that we commonly find publishers that are using our system are kind of missing, so that we want to make sure that she's going to help you basically figure out how to get the most data out of the system that's going to help you improve your site. And then Nick is he's kind of our local placeholder expert, I would say. He's one of the most experienced members of our publishing team. He's helped dozens of sites completely transform their revenue through placeholder optimization, and he's actually an aspiring candy blogger himself. So Nick is going to share with you some really fascinating stuff on placeholders. But without any further ado, I'm going to kind of hop in and let Piper take over and start going over some information that commonly we see with publishers right away. So let me just transfer over to Piper here. And all right, Piper, here you go.
Thanks, Tyler. So today I'm going to walk you guys through some of the best practices for using Ezoic. If you're a new publisher or an existing publisher, all of this will come in handy. So the first thing is to make sure all of your existing ads are wrapped. So the way that you're going to do that is you're going to take your Ezoic placeholder code, which you can find going to the Ad Tester app. And let's say we want to wrap an ad at the top of our page. We come in here and we grab the ad code for that. So this is the placeholder code right here. And we're going to copy that, and we're headed over to Tyler's website.
Yeah, this is my jiu-jitsu website. Yeah.
And he's got an AdSense code right here that's showing up at the top of the page. It's a leaderboard. So we want to make sure that that's wrapped in Ezoic code.
So, Piper, why is it that we want to wrap my existing ads? Why is that important for us to do?
Good question. So when you get in testing with Ezoic, you're going to send a percentage of your traffic to Ezoic to be optimized. And those users will see new ad combinations handled by Ezoic. The rest of your users are still going to see your original AdSense ads or whatever other ads you have on the page. So the reason we wrap them is this allows the system to test your existing ad locations, and it makes sure that your original ads don't show up on the percentage of traffic going to Ezoic. The problem with that would be that Ezoic ads and your original ads would show up on the same page. You can get into trouble with Google for that. And also, then our system can't track how your ads are performing, so it will hurt the optimization.
So it basically makes it so that all my existing ads can be compared properly to the system that's testing it, and then also makes me sure that I'm not getting over Google and things like that as we use the system. Okay,
exactly.
Great.
So I'm just going to walk you guys through wrapping an ad. So I took that placeholder code from Ezoic's dashboard. I'm going to paste it in here. And what you want to do is you want to take the closing div, so right here, and put it on the end of your existing ad code. So everyone can see this. We have the Ezoic div right here, and then the, and then the existing ad code, and then the closing div. So now your ad is wrapped.
So I just want to wrap all my existing ads with the Ezoic code so that we can make sure that testing and reporting and all that kind of stuff is accurate on my site.
Exactly. So wrap all your existing ads, and then we'll get into later adding more placeholders. So the next important thing I wanted to talk about, if we come back to the dashboard, this is something that I recommend every publisher do, is to install the mediation app. So to find the apps, you just go to your app store up here in your Ezoic dashboard, and here's mediation. So we've already got it installed. For those of you who don't know, mediation allows you to link your existing ad networks to Ezoic to have them compete against Ezoic ad partners, AdX, etc. And we've found that more competition leads to a higher bid from the advertisers, so you end up making more. So as you can see, there's a bunch of ad networks in here already. Go ahead and add the ones you're currently working with. Most people are probably already using AdSense. Make sure you link that one up. That's a really important one. And any other ad networks you're working with. If you're not working with any of these and you're wondering, should I sign up with these ad networks? Most of them you don't need to worry about because we already have a partnership with them, so you're already getting their demand as part of Ezoic's ad partners.
So I don't need to go and sign up for all these different ad partners if I don't have an existing account with them. If I do, I should link it. If not, they're already a part of the Ezoic system, right?
Exactly. Yep. So that's mediation. The next thing I wanted to point out was objectionable content. So if you come under the monitoring tab here, you'll see this objectionable content. Click on that. There's no objectionable content for my fake site, so I'm in good standing. But some of you will notice that some words will trigger the filter. And what we're doing is we're protecting you, your users, advertisers, and ourselves from getting in trouble with Google. The last thing we want is to ruin that relationship for anyone involved. So if the system notices that there's a bad word on a page, it will report it here and automatically not show ads on that page. So a lot of times what will happen is you might have user-generated content in your comment section or something like that, and some troll on the internet put a bad word on there and now you're not getting any ads on that page. I would come in here and check every couple of weeks just to see if anything's triggering the filter, maybe put a filter on your comments, something like that, just to take care of the issue.
So this is pretty common, right? What we'll have is something that'll come in and all of a sudden they'll realize that maybe ads haven't been showing on a page for 30 days, 60 days, and it's because of maybe one comment that, some kind of strange user has left on a otherwise very good post. So like you said, we see this a lot of times with comment sections and things like that, right, Piper?
Yeah, exactly. And the thing about this is you have to remember, we're doing this for your safety as well. Advertisers don't want to advertise on page with inappropriate content. Users don't want to see ads on those pages. So this is just protecting everyone involved. So the last thing I wanted to talk about, and this is probably one of the most important things, is not having enough placeholders or not classifying them correctly. So when you're getting set up on Ad Tester, we recommend that you wrap all your existing ads, but also that you add a lot of additional placeholders. So a placeholder is just a potential ad location. So you can add 8 to 10 to 20 placeholders per page. And that doesn't mean that 20 ads will show up. It just means that the system has the ability to test various combinations of those placeholders. So we found that the most successful publishers are the ones who include a lot of placeholders with all the position types and include a lot of ad sizes.
So I guess one of the first questions that I might have, let's use my site, for example, here, my Jiu-Jitsu website. Let's pretend for a second that I'm concerned about all the different potential ad locations. I maybe have only put in 3, 4, maybe 5 placeholders on my site because I think that's where the ads look the best. Why is it important maybe for me to add additional placeholders in places that I might not think would be as good or look as good?
Yeah, so the most important thing to remember is that Ezoic is constantly optimizing for revenue and user experience. So if a particular ad combination is hurting the bounce rate or hurting the time on site, will automatically be phased out. So you don't need to worry about spamming out your users or anything like that. That's already built into our algorithm. Also, you need to remember that it's optimizing on a per user basis. So each user is going to get a unique combination of ads that suits the way that they interact with the site. So you might look at a certain page and think, oh, this is a great ad combination or this isn't a great ad combination. But that varies for each user. And by allowing the system to test a lot of different locations and sizes, you're going to be able to tailor the ad combinations on a per user basis. And that's where we find the best revenue and the best user experience metrics.
Okay, great.
So I just want to come in here and show you guys on my test site, I've only got 4 placeholders set up. So instantly I would recommend that the publisher go in here and add more placeholders to the site so that the system can test some more. Let's look at this sidebar ad that they've created. So if we go in here and edit, and scroll down, we're going to see that this ad is turned on for desktop and tablet. That's something important to note is that's fine if you create a placeholder for just 1 or 2 devices, but you need to make sure that you also have placeholders on, so in this case, mobile. So what a lot of publishers will do is they'll create a lot of desktop placeholders, turn the system on for mobile, tablet, and desktop, not have any mobile revenue, and that's because they only created placeholders for desktop. So make sure you have the placeholders on all 3 devices. And then if we look at this one, this placeholder only has 1 ad size selected. The problem with this is it limits what the system can test. So in this scenario, this is a sidebar unit. I would typically recommend including all the boxes, all the vertical, and most of the buttons will fit as well. And so what we've just done is we've included a bunch more options for the system to test and save that ad, and that'll help you earn more. So let's go back to the dashboard.
So Piper, one thing I guess that we see pretty commonly is that publishers will go through and they'll create a number of different placeholders inside of their site. But what we find when we go in and review is that actually there's not a lot of time spent on this part of it when they're initially setting up, and that revisiting this part and kind of looking really closely about at what types of placeholders they created on different device types, sizes, etc., can really make a major impact on both the user experience and revenue. Right?
Yeah. So Nick is going to show you guys later how to use the Chrome extension. That's a really, really useful tool that you can use to go in and check the setup. You can also check it on desktop and mobile and tablet using an emulator and see which placeholders are available for the system to test, which sizes are included, how they're interacting with your content. So that's really, really important. He's also going to talk about making sure you classify them correctly. So when you create an ad, I'm just going to walk you guys through this process really quick. You choose where on the page this ad is. This is really, really important. We have a lot of different options for you to choose: sidebar, top, middle, bottom, mid content, long content, longer, bottom, etc. Make sure that you're classifying these correctly. If you create a unit and title it sidebar and put it in the middle of your content, it's going to interfere with the optimization process. So make sure that you're titling these correctly. And then also just walking through here, you now have the ability to specify which pages they go on. So a lot of people, their home page has a different layout than their article pages. So you can use this to only add the placeholder to a specific page. And like I said, just include a lot of ad units. So I think that pretty much covers it. Nick's going to walk you guys through the Chrome extension on a live site and how you can add placeholders, edit placeholders, and view the placeholders on your site to maximize your revenue.
So Nick's portion here, Piper, is basically going to show us how we can use the Chrome extension to kind of expedite this process at the end that you just showed us, correct?
Exactly.
Well, thanks for taking some time and kind of going through this. I had one more question. I just wanted to review back at the beginning because I saw we had a question in the comments box about it. Someone was asking a little bit more about mediation. Can we go back to mediation just for a second?
Yeah, of course.
So mediation, let's say I've added it now. Is there anything else I need to do? And what kind of benefits can I expect from adding the mediation now?
So mediation, let's say you add your AdSense. You're not going to see revenue right away. Our system needs time to collect data to determine if using ads from your existing ad network actually adds value. So it could be a week or two until you start seeing revenue come in from mediation. But basically what it's doing is it's comparing your existing ad network's bids to our ad partners And if they're willing to bid more, we will serve an ad from your own account, so that revenue will collect in your existing AdSense account, for example, just to ensure that you're earning the most for each impression.
Okay, great. Thanks for sharing that. So now we're going to flip it over to our friend Nick here, who's going to go over some more information about placeholders with us. Isn't that right, Nick?
That's correct.
All right, so now, Nick, you're up. So show us what Piper was talking about with all these placeholders.
Yeah, hey y'all. So thanks for joining me today. As Tyler said, I'm kind of the placeholder expert, I guess, here at Ezoic. So I'm going to give you guys some good tips on getting the most out of the extension, which will then, increase your revenue marginally. So I want to point out that Piper basically did all the big picture stuff. So wrapping your ads is obviously very important. Marking them correctly is obviously very important. But now what I'm going to go do here is go into the little details here and there that are just going to help bump up things, just a couple extra percents here and there. And so let's just jump right into it.
So we're back on my site now, huh? My Jiu-Jitsu website.
Yep, back on the Jiu-Jitsu website. So I turned on the extension here so you can actually see. What's nice about the extension is it actually allows you to visualize how the ads look on the page. So let's just take like top of the page here. Oops. And you can change the size to see, oh, okay, so that's how that size will look. Oh, that one looks a little big. But basically, it's just a nice tool for our publishers to use so they can kind of edit the placeholders. So let's take that one. As I said, that one was a little big. So you go in, there's 4 sections here. The first one designates the devices that it's on, as well as what type of ad it is. So this is top of the page. The second tab here looks like a little newspaper, is the actual sizes. So you have all of them marked here. You can deselect and select any sizes that you want. Here is actually where you're able to manipulate what pages it goes on exactly. So you can either exclude it from certain pages, or it can be shown just on this page only. But for this purpose, we're going to keep it on the entire site. And the last one here, you can add spacing to the ad units, so you can, increase the white space in between the content and the ad. You can select the styling between floating and add. So this floating is basically, it's going to make it look like it's wrapped around the text. Or you can put it on its own line and then center it, or right align or left align it. Center is the most popular.
How important is it to go through these different steps? Is it beneficial to have margins, to float it, to align it?
It depends on the site and depends on the ad unit. So what I suggest doing is trying both out. I'll get to that point later, I guess. But what you want to do is maybe have one ad unit top of the page that is floating, and then have one ad or Ezoic placeholder that is aligned on its own line. And then the system, it's going to be a smart setup, so it's going to learn and figure out what benefits your site specifically. So it's good to just, throw it all out there and just let the system figure it out. So let's hit save with that placeholder that I just edited.
So as it's saving here, Nick, I think one of the things that commonly we get asked quite a bit is when you open up the placeholders and they're all activated and you start seeing all these all over your page, it can be kind of intimidating sometimes, and it would look like I'm going to have all these ads all over my page. But that's not quite the case, is it?
No, that's not the case. So the system itself is only going to, show the one ad per position type. And these are by default kind of showing the largest placeholders. So you can see here we have the 300 by 600 and the 970 by 250 are really big ads, and it's making it look like this whole page would be ad. But the system is never going to run those on the same size and the same page. So, it could be intimidating for some, but just keep in mind that it's not going to look exactly like this with all these colors and things.
It really just makes it easy for setting the placeholders and seeing where potential ads could go, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes, this is definitely a publisher tool. So, we want you to see how kind of things will fit on your site specifically. So, great. Let's next, we'll jump into actually using the placeholder and adding a new placeholder. So what's nice is there's no technical work required here. All you have to do is hit insert. You can toggle again the position types. So what I really want to get into here is what you're looking at here is the desktop version of your site. But it's important to remember that, what is it, Tyler? The majority of most traffic is coming from mobile nowadays, is it not?
Yeah, so it depends on everybody's sites are different. You can go onto GA and look at yours, but for my site and for a lot of sites, a majority of traffic is now coming from mobile as opposed to desktop.
Great. So it's good to actually look and figure out, you know, what your site looks like on mobile and if the placeholders there are like actually showing. So a good trick here is to kind of force Chrome into a mobile version of your site. So to do that, you can either press F12 if you're on a Windows, or you can go to the developer tools and the development section of your site. Then you hit this, it's a really small little arrow over here, but basically what it's going to do is it's going to take you to the mobile version of your site. So you can select, just do a Galaxy S5. So, and then refresh the page. Very cool. So this is actually Tyler's mobile version of his site. As you can see, the placeholder's there. And it's a little bare because he does not have the mobile placeholders selected. So we definitely need to add some ads here.
So you're telling me I'm missing out on opportunities on mobile because I don't have some placeholders there?
Pretty big opportunities too.
Is that fairly common?
It's fairly common. So a lot of people just kind of forget that to either select it, or they just, you know, don't really understand that a lot of their traffic is coming from mobile. So it's important to get this part optimized as well. So here we go again. Let's try and add a placeholder here for mobile. And you use it exactly the same like you would for desktop. So insert there. Let's try middle of the content. And now we're selected for mobile only. You can manipulate it on its own line, centered. And by default, the system actually selects all the mobile friendly sizes. So it's not going to select any of those big, you know, 970s that are going to stretch out the mobile version of your site. So that's very important. And I'll click those mobile leaders too. And hit save.
So as it saves, Nick, one of the things I think, you know, Piper was saying earlier that, you know, having lots and lots of ad units is really great because it gives you all these different combinations to test. So the more combinations you have, the more potential the system has to optimize. Should I just go in and throw a placeholder like every other sentence so that I have like every possible combination, or is there a kind of a methodology that you would recommend?
You know, I actually recommend going a little crazy with the extension. It's not going to hurt. You know, like I said, the system and the algorithm are going to figure out what works for your site specifically. So don't be afraid to go too crazy with it, but just make sure that everything is labeled appropriately. So we don't want you to, for example, add another placeholder right here and say, oh, that's actually under this first paragraph. You don't want to, you know, use the system that way. You want to make sure that it's all marked correctly. Mid-contents are in near the middle of the page so the system doesn't get any bad data. Great. So if everyone's clear on the mobile version, let's just head back to the desktop version so you can see a little better. Another trick with the extension that I would say not too many publishers know about is that you can actually use it to add not just display ads, but your native ads. So if you just scroll down here on the Create tab of the Ezoic Chrome extension, you'll see that there's native horizontal, native vertical, and also link units, link unit horizontal and vertical. So the vertical native, let's try and add a placeholder here. These go good in the sidebar. So head over here into the sidebar. So Tyler has a display ad in the sidebar, but he doesn't have any native.
Those native ads do pretty good on my side. It probably would benefit me to have one over there in the sidebar, don't you think?
Exactly. So let's just click here. And this one's a little more simple. You just select where it is in the sidebar. So this is around the middle. And there's not really too many sizes to select. You can align it and hit save. And it's just as easy as adding a normal display placeholder. What it's going to do is it's going to allow the system to have that much more info. And again, if it's not optimal for your site to run native ads, the system will know that and not do it. But it's definitely worth it to put it into the testing scenario so that we can at least find out that if it's good for your site. Tyler said it's pretty good for his site, so definitely worth a try.
Now, I don't have any link units on my site, Nick, so maybe explain to me what a link unit is and where I should be putting those on my site.
Yeah, so a link unit, it's kind of hard to explain, I guess. It basically looks like a link that would, a bar of links that you would see on maybe it looks like a menu kind of. A lot of people maliciously use it to disguise it as a menu. You definitely don't want to do that. But what you can add it to is like under pictures, for example, like you can just add some link units here. So again, click. And so you can see it's just going to be like a small bar. Let's just add it. Again, it's a little more simple as far as the position types. Let's put a mid-content. And then the sizes are either it's horizontal or vertical. For this case, it's going to go actually in the content of the article. So let's hit save. But yeah, I would say definitely set yourself up with native ads. It's always worth a try. And link units are really depends on the content of the site. A lot of sites do better with link units than others. And it's not, super helpful as far as revenue goes, but it's, again, worth a try.
Like some people have a problem with native ads because they're concerned about the types of content or the types of ads that would show up on their site. What do you tell sites that are concerned about the potential of having native ads that are turnoffs to their users?
Well, Ezoic, first of all, is using pretty user-friendly native ads. It's not raunchy stuff. You can actually select the sizes in your Ezoic, the types in your Ezoic dashboard, so you can be PG, being like family-friendly, PG-13, a little racier, but not like, full-on nudity, anything like that. So it's important to, whatever you put into the system, it'll put out. So if you don't want to try native ads, we're not going to force you to. But there is a benefit there, and you should at least, if you're into making more money, you should at least give it a try. We've found that, it can lead to 5-10% boosts in revenue, overall revenue, by just implementing a couple native ad units here and there. So
Ezoic is automatically testing for things like bounce rate and how the users react to this sort of thing. So if it's having a really negative impact on user experience, they're probably not going to show, correct?
Yeah, that's too, very true. So like I said, just kind of give it a shot, and the main thing you want to gain from the extension is just giving the system a lot of potential placeholders to try, a lot of sizes to try, and just kind of going crazy and having fun. I think the extension's pretty fun. So if you need any help, your Ezoic representative can also, give you some advice on placeholders here and there. They deal with tons of sites like this every day and know what kind of works, what kind of doesn't. So yeah, if you guys have any questions, be sure to leave them in the comments. And anything else?
No, I think that's it, Nick. Thanks a lot for sharing with us some of your placeholder wisdom.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, everybody. So I know we've got some questions related to some of the content today. And so basically, I've got Nick here still with me. So we're going to start to go over some of these questions. And Nick, we'll just kind of like hang out with people here for a little bit before we finish up and try to answer as many of these questions as possible. I'll let you kind of maybe jump in the side screen with me here.
Yeah.
So
absolutely. Hi, everyone again. Thanks, Rutledge, for helping out. Actually, you've been really helpful in the comments I've been noticing. Brock, you started it off with the question, should I wrap an Amazon CPM ad and a content.ad as well? The answer to that one, pretty easy, yes, definitely. So content.ad, I believe, is a native provider. So you actually want to wrap that with the Ezoic native code. It's the same process. You just, instead of using display, you use the native. And for Amazon CPM, use the display.
So for Amazon ads, any kind of like, what about like affiliate links and things like that? So maybe I have an affiliate ad on my site.
Yeah, you can wrap those too with display. You know, those are depending. A lot of people like to leave those on the page, but do keep in mind that if you leave anything unwrapped, it's going to dilute the earnings from display, and it's not going to give the system clean data. So that's why we say wrap it all and just let it run.
Yeah, so that's one of the things that, that's one of the reasons why we talk about wrapping so much, is because when you wrap the ads, it allows Ezoic to basically test all these different things. So one of the things when we were talking about EPMV earlier, and you know this, Nick, that all ads dilute other ads on the page. So if you have 10 ads on the page, it makes all the ads a little bit more, a little bit less valuable, right? So 10 ads versus one ad, all the different ads like affect each other in some way, shape, or form. That's why CPMs and that sort of thing are not really a great metric for measuring overall revenue. And so if you have ads that are unwrapped, meanwhile, Ezoic is testing all these different things, it's missing out on this one element that potentially could be affecting and diluting the value of your ad. So that's why it's important to wrap everything so that everything is being properly tested, right? Correct. So if you have any kind of ads or advertiser relationships, it's important to get those wrapped so that the system's testing them properly. And in most cases, what you'll see is an uptick in both revenue and user performance. So what's the next question?
We got one from JP that asked, does the system know how to place an AdSense unit below a picture or below a heading? The answer to that one is no. So it's on you to kind of place the Ezoic placeholder in a position that you know will be compliant with Google and the other ad rules out there. So we don't want to disguise the ads as content or anything and place it under misleading headers. So just don't place the placeholder there. It's important to kind of, do your own diligence. And when I said go crazy with the placeholders, I didn't mean doing it like a malicious or kind of deceiving way.
You didn't mean to use it in a criminal fashion.
Yeah. So that is something that is on the responsibility of the publisher.
So I did see a couple questions here when you were answering one of those, Nick, on AMP. People were asking about AMP. So Ezoic, we actually just launched an AMP converter. I know a lot of publishers that have been interested in AMP have been using WordPress extensions and things like that. Those generally are really very poor in converting sites to AMP. They usually lead to pretty bad user experiences. And honestly, you guys are all Ezoic users already, so it's not like we're trying to push our converter because there's necessarily any benefit to us. It's more really to benefit you guys. It's in beta right now, but if you'd like to apply to have your site converted to AMP by Ezoic, we are a certified Google Publishing Partner, certified AMP partner. So what we can do is basically help you convert your site to AMP. Because we use the Ezoic tags inside of the AMP, we can actually allow you to import header bidding, first look providers, and all of your existing ad demand into AMP. One of the big downsides of just regular AMP is that if you were just a normal publisher not using Ezoic, you could only use one specific tag provider. And so usually that means that sites earn way less in AMP. So there's a lot of advantages for having your site converted to AMP by Ezoic, mainly just being able to do all the testing and that sort of thing. But also your ad demand, you can bring in all of your existing stuff so you don't have to choose. So it's more competitive. The site looks better. You can keep your menu and all that kind of stuff as well. So you can contact your Ezoic rep if you're interested in having Ezoic help you out with that. Well, what other questions we have, Nick?
That was a lot of AMP conversation going on in the comments. So it seems like that's something that you should, kind of. It's like Tyler said, if you want to be applying for our AMP project thing, go for it. It's really helpful, and for what I've seen it for, it's really nice looking as well. So let's see. Do you have any other questions? Just a lot of AMP conversation. A lot of the bad word filter talk too. So, you know, different uses of normal curse words. So magna cum laude, as opposed to, you know, the curse word version. You know, there's not really much we can do about that. You know, as Piper said, the monitoring tool is for your safety. So it's certain words like that will trigger the bad word filter. One thing you should look at in the monitoring is actually how many pages is that word affecting. So it'll give you a little page view counter, and if it's affecting a small percentage of your sites, you really don't need to worry about it. You know, as it gets more and more, maybe email your representative and see if there's anything we can do in a certain situation, but it's pretty uniform across all the sites that it's just for your safety.
Sure. All right, so that kind of wraps things up for our event today. I want to thank everyone for attending. If you attended today and maybe missed a part, don't worry, you're going to get a recording. I'll send something out immediately following this event. It just has to take a second to render, so as soon as it does, it'll go out to everyone. I want to encourage everyone, so we just talked about AMP a little bit. We've talked about kind of user performance metrics and how they affect everything a little bit. If you go to our blog at blog.ezoic.com, we actually have one of our actual publishers, Dave Taylor, has been writing a series on basically optimizing your Ezoic account. So stuff that's even beyond what we've talked about today, plus maybe some kind of refreshers. They're on our blog, as well as we just did a study on publishers that have implemented AMP, so you can kind of see the results that they have. Kind of here's like a preview to that. If you have a slow site, AMP benefits you quite a bit. Sometimes sites are just naturally kind of slow, but AMP can really help you out a lot with that on mobile. And then I encourage everyone to listen to the podcast that I have with John Cole called The Publisher Lab. It's on iTunes. I encourage you to check it out. We have publishers on all the time to talk about how they've grown their sites. John and I basically just break down this entire industry and make it simple and fun and just kind of try to jam-pack stuff in there that's really helpful. He has spent a ton of time in the ad world, and I've spent a ton of time in the marketing SEO world. And between the two of us, I think there's just a lot of learnings in there for everybody. John's English, so the term learnings is fun for me to say with him. So I hope you guys enjoyed it today. We'll certainly continue to do more of these. If you have issues or problems, I encourage you to reach out to your Ezoic representative. Otherwise, if you had feedback on today's event, please feel free to reach out to me directly at tbishop@ezoic.com. So thank you guys very much for attending, and we will see you soon.